Lots to talk about in today's episode. An old but familiar face is back at the racetrack this weekend. Levine Family Racing might be looking to expand their team going into next year. And then also, has NASCAR overpromised on the Gen 7 car? We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's episode. How's it going, you guys? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, though, I do have a few things to shout out. Firstly, you guys know TopShelfDiecast.com. Check out this incredible custom-made Matt DiBenedetto Dumont Jets 95 Toyota. I think this is the perfect episode to shout this car out because we got some Levine Family Racing rumors coming up. But yeah, again, shout out to TopShelfDiecast.com. If you're in the market for some hard-to-get NASCAR diecast, check them out at TopShelfDiecast.com and use the promo code Estepp when checking out. It helps me out a ton, and it costs you nothing, so thanks for doing that, y'all. Other things I need to announce, in case you hadn't heard, I've mentioned it here and there in past episodes recently and streams and everything, but I will be at Texas Motor Speedway starting tomorrow. I will be leaving early at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning. I'll be at the track Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so if you're going to be there any of those days and you see me, come say hi. I got some Out of the Groove stickers I can give out and stuff like that, so looking forward to hopefully meeting a few of you guys, and I'm looking forward to an outstanding race weekend. Now, the reason I'm there all 3 days is because my good friends over at NASCAR Pole Position Magazine have hooked me up with a hot pass for the weekend. So I am super excited. Big shout out to them first and foremost. Big thank you to them. Guys over there are amazing. Now I can take you guys behind the scenes all throughout the race weekend. Hopefully we can get up close and personal with some drivers, see the car, see the garage, see basically every level of access there is to offer at a NASCAR race like this. And looking forward to sharing it with you guys. I'll have a couple videos up next week from this weekend. So it's going to be a busy weekend, going to be very exciting. But I'm thrilled to have this opportunity and I can't wait to share the experience with you guys. Anyway, now that that's all well and good and out of the way, let's get to the news for today's episode because we've got a lot to discuss. Let's start with maybe the most random bit of news from this week. Greg Biffle is going to be returning to NASCAR to race in the Truck Series this June at Texas Motor Speedway, driving for, you guessed it, Kyle Busch Motorsports. He revealed yesterday on Twitter that he would be at the race this weekend to test and practice the 51 truck for Kyle Busch, and actually today, as I'm making this video, he is on track down at Fort Worth testing that 51 truck. But he's not racing this weekend, he's just testing for when the Truck Series comes back in June as part of that IndyCar doubleheader. Greg Biffle will race in the 51 truck in that June race. Greg Biffle, he was a Truck Series champion back in 2000, he was an Xfinity champion in 2002, he hasn't raced in NASCAR since 2016, but the Biff is returning for maybe just one last race. I love some of these photos I saw of him testing just before I hit record. Look at him, he's got his old 3M helmet, he's got an old Valvoline fire suit. Look, it still says Sprint Cup Series on it. Greg Biffle, man, looking good out there. Throwback big time. Now, Greg Biffle hasn't said anything about returning full-time or even part-time. It sounds like this might just be a one-off deal because with the way that truck race is in June, it's the only NASCAR race at Texas that weekend. They're doubled up with IndyCar. NASCAR is everywhere else in the country. ARCA's somewhere else, K&N somewhere else, Xfinity Cup Series are somewhere else. So the Truck Series are kind of on an island there. So drivers weren't super available for that race. So it sounds like, you know, Biffle and Kyle Busch just got to talking and it just kind of worked out. Busch needed a driver and Biffle was his guy. Now, Greg Biffle is 49 years old and like I said, he hasn't been in NASCAR in almost 3 years. So the test session here today at Texas Motor Speedway, probably pretty helpful, but very interesting. Kind of a blast from the past. So very random news story at this point in the year. You know, about this time last year, we had heard of another Roush driver making a surprise announcement. So I guess it's just something about the Roush drivers. I don't know. Anyway, it's cool to see a familiar face, the Biff, come back and join the action once again. Now let's talk about some future driver and team changes and speculation. The owner of Levine Family Racing, Bob Levine, was in Houston earlier this week talking to SportsMap.com about Levine Family Racing's future. And in this interview, he explained that the team is seriously looking at expanding to a 2-car organization next year. He also said some pretty interesting things that might be new to some of you guys. So here's Bob Levine's full quote. "We were going to run 2 cars for this year with Daniel Suarez and a driver we selected, but that didn't work out. But overall, I'm happy with how everything turned out. I'm glad we got Matt DiBenedetto because he wanted to come here, but yes, we are working on expanding for 2020 right now. It's just a matter of sponsorship because we can put the people on it and we have the organization and Toyota Racing Development will support that. So yes, we are working to expand." Couple interesting things here. First thing that maybe some of you guys didn't know, I remember he talked about this a while back, but Daniel Suarez, yes indeed, was originally the driver they were hoping to put in the 95 car at Levine. Sounds like once Suarez knew he could get a deal worked out with Stewart-Haas Racing, that probably became unavailable for them, but it looks like Toyota was, hoping to keep Suarez in their system of drivers. That might be news to some people. Now, what I do find interesting there is I didn't know that they were planning on having 2 cars this year. I don't know who that other driver is that he hints at. I didn't know about that, so the idea of Levine immediately being a 2-car team this year is a little weird to me, but yeah, the Suarez news isn't shocking. Now, Levine Family Racing is in their first year with the Toyota JGR Alliance. Christopher Bell, who won 7 races in the Xfinity Series last year, has already voiced his desire to be in a Cup car as soon as possible. Now, with the news that Levine is planning a second car in their organization, I'm sure Christopher Bell pops up in a lot of people's minds as the top candidate for that ride. I think Christopher Bell is widely considered to be the top driver without a Cup ride right now, so it makes sense that he would be the first guy to get the opportunity. But is Christopher Bell actually going to get that ride? There is some other rumors going around Joe Gibbs Racing, a lot of conversation. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing is in a very interesting position here because there's been a lot of rumors as far as, if Christopher Bell could replace one of their current drivers. Could Bell end up going to Levine Family Racing? Could one of Joe Gibbs' current drivers go over to Levine? Will it be another driver completely that brings his own sponsorship? That all remains to be seen. Joe Gibbs Racing is in an interesting position because they have Kyle Busch, who just signed an extension with M&M's and Mars Candy. Martin Truex Jr. just got there, so they're probably not going to replace him anytime too soon. Denny Hamlin still has support from FedEx for, we don't know how many years his contract is, but we know it's still going. Eric Jones might be the odd man out. I know he's only in his second year with Joe Gibbs Racing, but the results have been okay, but not amazing. He doesn't bring a whole lot of his own sponsorship to that race team. A lot of the sponsors on that 20 car are left over from when Matt Kenseth drove it, or are just Joe Gibbs Racing, corporate partners. One possibility I see, if they really believe in Christopher Bell, is they might try to do to Eric Jones what they tried to do to Daniel Suarez, it sounds like. Bump him from Joe Gibbs Racing to the affiliate team, and then give Christopher Bell, in this case, the 20 car. I don't know if that would happen. I'd be very disappointed for Eric Jones if that did happen. I think at the end of the day, I think both Eric Jones and Christopher Bell are better than Levine Family Racing. No offense to Levine Family Racing. They've had a decent year. Mike Benedetto's had a couple big moments already, but they're still a small team. They're still growing, and they're not able to run for a championship yet. Eric Jones and Christopher Bell are both drivers I think can win a couple races a year if they're driving for a top team, and can maybe contend for a championship. I think at the very least they can contend for a round of 8 spot in the playoffs. So for Eric Jones to get bumped after only having 2 years of time at Joe Gibbs Racing would be very disappointing to me, but that being said, I do think Christopher Bell deserves a better ride than one at Levine Family Racing. Either way, sounds like Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have some hard decisions to make, but they're no stranger to making hard decisions these days. I'll move on. I don't want to dwell on that too much. The last bit of news surrounds the Generation 7 race car that we've talked about a little bit the last few weeks. Several weeks ago, NASCAR said publicly that they are planning to have the Gen 7 car ready for the start of the 2021 season. Many fans, including myself, were very excited by that news, very excited that NASCAR was making progress, because I think most people can agree this Gen 6 era has not been one of NASCAR's best. A lot of fans are really excited for the Gen 7 era, and it sounds like maybe even NASCAR has gotten a little ahead of themselves. I saw an article from Autosport.com that suggested NASCAR might be a little bit behind their 2021 premiere date for the Gen 7 car. In that article, they interview Roger Penske, owner of Team Penske, Directly from the article, it says, when asked if the Gen 7 timeline was too ambitious to be achieved by its target date, Penske replied, "We need to go, okay? I said to Jim France, let's just make the decision and go." The urgency from Roger Penske here suggests that he thinks NASCAR might be a little bit behind their plans. Now this helps confirm a report from earlier in the week that said NASCAR was still in the early planning stages. I tweeted about this one. TRD, Toyota Racing Development's David Wilson, said in a recent article that NASCAR has been holding countless meetings with the people from the 3 manufacturers, as well as a few outside manufacturers that might be looking in. From the sounds of it, NASCAR is still in kind of the polling phase where they're talking to the team owners, talking to manufacturers, looking at data, trying to figure out what this Gen 7 car might even look like. It sounds like they don't even have a prototype written up at this point. Now, Jeff Gluck, a longtime NASCAR reporter, was on this channel just a few weeks ago, and I remember we talked about how he was concerned that NASCAR might be a little bit behind some of their promises. What he had heard is that NASCAR really needs to start testing the Gen 7 car by this summer if they want to realistically meet that deadline of 2021. And given that we're now in March and they're still seemingly in the planning stages, it sounds like some people in the NASCAR garage aren't too optimistic about NASCAR meeting that goal. My reaction is quite simple. I'm worried that in an attempt to appease the fans, NASCAR is ultimately going to rush things. Fans are desperate for change, whether it's the schedule, the cars. NASCAR has seen that, so what are they doing? They are making a lot of changes fast. You know, they revealed the 2020 schedule earlier this week and they announced a Pocono doubleheader. But then when people started actually asking NASCAR about details regarding the Pocono doubleheader, they had zero answers. I mean, NASCAR literally said that they have no details worked out when it comes to that Pocono doubleheader. No start times, no like qualifying order or schedule or anything like that. Pocono doubleheader, we don't even know the length of those races. NASCAR literally said after that announcement that they have no details worked out about that Pocono doubleheader. They just said, we got a Pocono doubleheader, so I guess it's happening. Now, I like that NASCAR is changing things and trying to listen to the fans, but I really don't want them to rush into this and do a bad job just to appease the loudest critics. What I want to say to NASCAR here is take a step back, push the Gen 7 to 2022 if you have to. Just make sure that you're making the best decisions for the right reasons that will help the sport in the long run. I don't want NASCAR to feel like they need to change the schedule, change the car, change the aero package every single year. I want us to find a good aero package that we can stick with for 10 years. I want to find a good schedule that we can stick with for 10 years. I don't want all these little quick fixes followed by quick fixes. I want a very well thought out big fix that we can stick with for a decade or two. That's what I want, NASCAR. So I know there's some loud critics out there saying the car sucks, we need better racing right now, right now, right now. Don't listen to them. Go at your own pace, make the right decisions. If we have to wait a couple extra years, so be it. If it'll make the racing better, if it'll mean that we get the best possible product on the racetrack at some point, I'm all for it. Just make sure you're making the best decisions for the right reasons. Don't try to rush anything here. That's my big statement if anybody at NASCAR happens to see this, but I want to know what you guys down in the comments think of this news, this rumor, any of the other stuff too, of course. How do you guys feel about Greg Biffle returning? How do you guys feel about Levine possibly expanding their team? How do you guys feel about all this stuff? Thanks for watching this video. Leave a comment down below. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Those are also down in the description. You can also get yourself an Out of the Groove t-shirt if you want to support me, support the show. Those are also down there by the description. Thanks for checking all that out. And of course, a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters. Michael Harrison at GWasTheStars, SelfishGifts.com, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Tim Shingen, Jason Arlong, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Nika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, Adam Lean, and the rest of these amazing supporters. Thank you all so much for helping support this channel, support this show. I got some big things in the works. Texas this weekend is going to be huge, and a lot of that's because of the support I get from you guys. And then I got some other exciting things coming up later in the year, so can't wait to share those with you guys. Thanks everyone for the support. And thank you all for watching this video. I'll be at Texas all 3 days. If you see me, come say hi. Other than that, I got no other announcements to make. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope to see you this weekend. Have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye, y'all.